Today we're talking about your company website. Do you just need a quick do-it-yourself template, or do you need something a little bit more custom? We're going to talk a little bit about the tools and the process, but we won't go too deep on that. And then we'll give you a few things to look at, a few questions to ask about your current website, and just assess where you are. Hey everyone, my name is Wayne Cox. I'm one of the partners here at the Marketing Squad, and welcome to SquadTalks over coffee. I'm here with Josh Allers, our project manager. Josh, tell people what you do for our clients.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically the middleman between our clients, our amazing clients, and our outstanding team here. So that's what I do.
We're going to talk a little bit about your website, how it ends up being a front door and kind of a first impression for your company, for your organization, to the world. Your community, your clients, your friends, but also your prospective clients. We'll talk a little bit about the process, what it looks like to have a good process and a good framework behind your website. We won't talk too much coding, too much nerd stuff. Josh might, but I certainly won't.
I promise I won't.
Why do we build websites? What do we do here?
I mean, nowadays it seems like websites are becoming, I've heard someone say, hey, are websites even necessary anymore? Because I have a Facebook page, or I have reviews on my Google, or someone can just go to my Yelp and they can see my menu. So why does my restaurant need a website? So, I mean, we're getting those questions now as people are like, are websites necessary?
Yeah.
And it used to be where it was very obvious, where it was like, of course, you need a place where you can tell people to go to your Facebook. You need a place where you can tell people, where your Google is. But now, sometimes people's Google page comes up before their website comes up. And then they're like, well, do I need a website if that's what happens,
Yeah, so if I'm a business owner talking to you, then why do I even need a website?
Well, I think that's actually the most important question someone can have is, why do I need a website? What is the goal for my website if I have one? What am I trying to accomplish? And I think sometimes people don't know what their website can actually do for them. Sometimes people don't realize that a website could bring a lot more traffic than Facebook or Google, or that the blogs that someone publishes on their website could possibly bring in traffic from sources that hadn't originally been searching for you. Because really, if you Google, let's say you Google the Marketing Squad, we're going to come up, of course. But what if you're Googling inbound marketing agencies in Louisville? Well, hopefully we come up for that, but maybe our Facebook page wouldn't come up. Maybe our Google page wouldn't come up. So.
Yeah, when I'm having those conversations about why even have a website, the thing that comes to mind for me is you don't own anything on Facebook.
That's true.
They own it all.
Yeah.
You don't own anything on Google. They own it all.
Yeah.
Your domain, the content on your website is still something you own. It's still something you control.
Yeah.
And so at least that's part of it.
Yeah.
Should you be present across the internet? For sure. Your online presence needs to be more than your website, but I still think it starts with your website.
Mm-hmm. Because those places will come and go. I remember a few years ago, Medium is a blogging platform. It became really popular, and I don't know if it's still popular or not. I'm sure a lot of companies still use it, but it's really clean, super sleek, and you can blog on it as your company really easily. And people are asking, hey, should we just start blogging on Medium? Why do we need to pay for a website that has a built-in blog through WordPress or whatever? Instead of, I could just blog on Medium. And I think that we've seen that a little bit as time goes on. You don't own that content. You write a nice piece of content and you don't really own it. It's not yours. You can't manipulate it. So what we've encouraged people to do is, okay, how about you write on your website, you own that, and then you can use something called some sort of linking technique, basically, that allows you to write in other places, as guest authors often do, and Google won't count it as duplicate content. But at the same time, you still own the original piece of content, and the other places are still using it to source it. In the same way, you might have your menu if you're a restaurant on your website, but you also have your menu on Yelp and on Google and on Facebook, etc.
I was holding it as long as I could.
Just talk faster if we can cut this out. Now we have to keep that because I'm not repeating anything I just said.
You got through restaurants, man. We'll have to make a cut at some point. I was like, oh, it's coming.
During COVID-19, we can't keep that, unfortunately. If
Yeah,
this is another time,
I tried to be.
I was like, I don't know, is that a clean sneeze? Could we?
Yeah, we might need to disinfect that whole area there. Josh, as a project manager, you've been around dozens, if not hundreds, of website builds. What's the importance of having a process, a repeatable process to build a website?
Yeah, for sure. If you go to anyone who's gone to a restaurant knows, you can have a meal served to you that's just really, really good. And everything about the meal is perfect from the chef's point of view. But from the waiter or server point of view, maybe the experience wasn't so great. Similarly, when you're getting a website, process, the experience that you're having from the beginning to the end is actually really important. Either from you and the communication, hey, this didn't feel right, or maybe this wasn't a clean process and I could feel it, it felt janky. Or also just from the perspective of once it's published, hey, it looks like, we didn't add whatever it may be, we missed a picture, or maybe there's a broken link here, or something about this is wrong and I'm constantly QCing it many, many weeks or years afterwards. In those two different areas, I think that you would see that process is very important.
Mm-hmm. From the perspective of the business owner or the business leader coming to you, how important is it for them to trust you, but to trust the process, so that the finished product is their vision and not just your vision, not just an agency's
usually
vision?
What we do when we start off a website is we have 3 different ways that we basically kick off a project. We start off with a kind of a scoping questionnaire. We want to know before we even price it, what is it that you want, or what does the client want? And the second thing is we'll have a kickoff meeting, and before that meeting we'll have another questionnaire. So between that second questionnaire and that meeting, we really want to make sure that we understand exactly what someone wants out of a website. What's your goals for a website? Once the website is launched, what can we look at? What metric can we say, hey, this was a successful build? Because if you're going into a website and you really want to be able to blog more, we haven't asked that question. We give you a website without a blog. Well, we can have the most amazing website, the prettiest website, but we've missed the one key thing that someone needs or someone asks for, and we failed. So oftentimes people want, just as a few examples, for our clients, usually people either want a website that they can have resources on that can be almost a knowledge base for people. Somebody wants to know, hey, I don't understand this industry enough, but it's crossed me in some way, and I need to learn more about it. And they find this website, and the website educates them. And usually from there, they might have something called a call to action, or some way where they can get an email or a lead or a phone number, and then they can garner that lead, and possibly in the future, it could turn into a sale. The other way somebody might use a website is just as a marketing platform purely. We just need our name to be out there. We just need to hit all the keywords, and people already know about our industry maybe, or maybe we just need a central hub. I think there's probably there's several others. There's a lot of reasons someone might want one, but those are 2 very common ones: is a resource hub, marketing agency, and then or a marketing platform. And the third one would probably be you just want to basically say, hey, we're real, we're authentic, we are legit, we have real people on our team, we have cool photos, we're not fake, we're genuine.
So if I'm having a conversation with someone and they know what I do, and they say, oh, y'all build websites, and I could jump on that and give them a link to a portfolio and talk about all the different websites we built. But usually there's something else going on there. They're wanting to know, how do I get the word out? How do I tell my story? Like how do I market my business? That's ultimately what they're asking. And so then, to me, I just try to push them toward, yeah, you need a website, you need an online presence, you need a meaningful way you connect with your customers and prospects through email. So yes, the website's a piece of it, but what you want your website to do and why you want it to exist matters a ton. If there's still some people out there that just think they need an online brochure.
Yeah.
If you just need an online brochure and you're going to send somebody directly there, pay $49 and build you a website, and there you go. But for the most part, people want their website to do more than that. Mm-hmm. They want it to get found, number one. They want new people not in their current community, not in their current client base, to find them online.
Yeah.
So if you want that, then you got to build the site a certain way. It needs to be built a certain way with a certain strategy behind it. If you want your website to interface in a meaningful way with your company's systems, could be accounting system, could be a production system, might be a CRM. If you want your website to function in that way, well, then it needs to be built with a certain strategic foundation and a particular approach. So what you want your website to do for you and why you're building a website, and that question matters a ton. So if you've come to this video, you're watching, you're thinking, how can I audit what I've got now? How can I understand where I am now and where I could go with it? Dig into that question and don't stop asking why. Why do I want this website? And whatever your first answer is, ask why again. And then you can figure out what the next step should be and what you should do. Maybe it's an online brochure and nothing more than that. Great, those are easy. A lot of companies do that. A lot of just plug and play template builders out there. But if you need something custom, if you want something that has a business development connection and something that drives your business, well, then now you need to partner with the right person who will ask the right questions and lead you in the right way.
Because I feel like, we use WordPress, and we've had a few people come to us and be like, hey, can we use this other platform? In fact, we've had people come and try to get us to use Squarespace. We're like, literally the point of Squarespace is so that you don't need a marketing agency, right? It's like, do it yourself. Like, this is a site for you to do by yourself without a marketing agency. And so someone's like, why do you, A, need a marketing agency to make your website? Which, you don't. Or B, why should I use WordPress? In our case, that's our chosen platform. Now, we've used HubSpot in the past. We like HubSpot, and we've actually found ways to integrate HubSpot with WordPress. Actually, they've done the integration themselves, and it's really good. It's really quite seamless. They allow each of those platforms to do the best of what each of them do best. So with WordPress, one of the main advantages of that, and I think that a large majority of websites, use WordPress, is that basically, because so many people use it, there's a lot of custom plugins or apps, you might call them, that integrate with them. And it allows you to not recreate the wheel a lot of times. And it allows you to add features to a website really inexpensively that maybe on another platform would cost a lot more. And I'm thinking about, if you were to code a website from scratch, let's say you don't use WordPress. A client comes, they say, hey, we need a website, we design a mock-up, we present it to them, they're like, hey, this is great. Let's say we made it for very inexpensive, not using WordPress. And then they come back later and they're like, hey, we want this cool, we've seen this on the site, it's like this map integration where you have all the stores on a map and whatever. We're like, ooh, that might take a long time to create. If we'd use WordPress, though, we might be able to just download a plugin and have them something in 20 minutes, possibly, So when it comes down to using WordPress, that actually is a really nice feature. There's so many tools that we've been able to use, and we've been able to offer our clients a lot of really cool things, sometimes within the original scope of the project. So,
yeah, and that makes me think about, kind of the origins of why we even got into building websites, and it wasn't because we wanted to be a website project shop. It was getting the website or getting that business's online hub in good shape was necessary to tell their story, was necessary to help grow their business and do the marketing. What I've seen over the past 12 years is too many businesses who are handcuffed by an agency or by a developer because that website was so proprietary and so custom built that it really is of no use to anyone outside of that developer who did it.
Yeah.
And so if you're building a website in this day and age, it's got to be on an open source platform. It's got to be something that you can easily update, easily manipulate basic content yourself. That's really kind of at the heart of our website project division, if you will. Our website project approach has always been to hand over the keys.
Yeah.
We used to make that a real overt part of even how we sold websites is we'll build the site and then we want to hand everything back to you. We want to give you full login, full control, full admin, ability on your website.
And a training as well. We've done that.
Right.
We would do a training afterwards. Say, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you edit everything. So.
Right. Yeah, because there's no doubt there's going to be some people that just aren't comfortable in that environment, And so for those, training or even just being there to take a support ticket and help them along the way. But for me, a website in 2020 has to be something that you don't feel shackled or handcuffed by. It's got to be something that you use, just like you log into your company benefits page. You can log into your website and change content when you need to, update content, publish new content. So that's a huge reason why we're using WordPress for 95% of what we do in the website world, because a third of the world's websites are built on WordPress. It's open source. If you need something done, like Josh talked about, it's there. Yeah. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you don't have to have something that's tied to our developers' creative whim when we developed a custom thing for you. But it's based on open source code.
And I think we've adopted a lot of processes along the way as we've pushed out website after website, and we get feedback from people saying, hey, I need a little help changing this or need help changing that. We've done our best to continue to make improvements to our system to make things more intuitive. One of those things is using less HTML, which is just a language that a lot of websites use entirely, and we still use some of it sometimes. But for the most part, we try to keep things as easy to change as possible without knowing really anything about websites. But at each website, we do our best to make it just easier and easier and easier. And our hope is at some point, literally I could give a website to my mom, and she'd be able to just get on there and just make changes without maybe even any training. Who knows?
Yeah, it's called a CMS for a reason, a content management system. If you can't manage your own content without the help of somebody else, then your website's built on the wrong platform.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna guess the chances are pretty good that if you're watching this video, your company may have a website. There's still a few companies out there that have done it offline and don't have any website at all, but most likely you have a website. It might be 4 years old, it might be 14 years old, but you have a website. A couple of things that you should ask about your current website. Maybe a little self-audit of your current site. Go to your site, first thing, write out in 1 or 2 sentences what your business does. My company does this. Our organization does this. And then open up a browser you've never used before, or clear the cache on your browser. But get into a fresh browser and take that sentence or those 2 sentences that you wrote and break it down into words, phrases, and search those things. Does your website pop up? That's the very first thing. Is your website findable? So if it is, great. If it's not, then that's something that should drive you to maybe make a change. Second thing, look at your website and ask, do you give people who want to work with you an easy opportunity to do that? Can they call the number if that's what you want people to do? Can they fill out a form? Can they easily email you? Can they find you on LinkedIn if that's your preferred path? Can they easily work with you if they want to work with you? Does your website call them to action in that way? And then the third thing that I think of is, does your website offer any resources? Are you educating them and making them a better, more qualified, more prepared buyer? What do you think of? If someone wanted to look at their current site and just see how am I doing, is there any metrics, any checklists that you might give them?
Yeah, I think that the search is a great thing. I mean, searching for just, I think that you said search for the keywords that you do specifically and see if you come up. We've had companies come, if you literally just search their name, they won't come up. So even that is like, do you come up at all? Like if you just search your name. I think going to your website is important in understanding, like, do we make it easy? But sometimes from a professional standpoint, does your site meet the times from a design point of view? Because you go to your site, you might think, hey, my website was hip, 20 years ago, it looked great. If that's the case, I 100% guarantee you it's not going to look good today. There's just no way. So I think maybe having maybe a younger person, I want to say younger person, I feel like that's the more guaranteed way to do it. Like there's people who have a design eye of all ages, but if you have a young person in your life, maybe ask them, hey, does this site feel like good? That might be a start.
Yeah, the last thing that I'll say on that, Josh, maybe this is kind of the bonus tip if you're looking at your own website. I still think people do business with people. Just put on fresh eyes, go to your website, and just think about it. Do they know who they would be working with? Can they see either the team or the team leader, or even the size of your team? Can they get any beginnings of trust on who they'd be working with? I think a lot of times some companies maybe want to look a little bigger than they are, and maybe sometimes just companies have gotten so big that they've forgotten that people do business with people, and so that evidence is gone from their website. And I'm a big believer, like, tell people what you're about, not just on a corporate about page, but really what you're about, who they would be working with. Start to gain trust. People are used to giving away a little bit of trust online. It's the way people buy these days. That buyer's journey has already begun when they pick up the phone or when they meet you for coffee. And so are they already beginning to trust you because of what they found at your website? So try to put on those fresh eyes and look at it that way. Do they trust you because of what they've seen and what they've taken in at your website?
So I think at this point we should definitely admit that our coffee cups are empty. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe, like it, follow the page, and we'll be with you next time. Somebody else on our team will definitely be here, and I'm sure they'll have real coffee in these cups. So.
Yeah, our goal with SquadTalks is to give you maybe some things to think about, maybe a little bit of a perspective that you didn't have coming into the video. And so, yes, subscribe. When the next one comes up, hopefully it'll be a valuable video, valuable content for you to watch. And I hope you've gained something out of today, looking a little closer at your website.
Hey, if you have something that you would like us to talk about, business related or otherwise, send us a message or leave a comment.
Put it in the comments below, as the kids say.
Do it.